can see how big these timbers are. That's about almost a foot in diameter, the big cross timber, so they had to put big ones in here to hold up. Do you hear that? What is that, wind? Wow. I've heard some weird stuff in mines, but that is definitely creepy. I don't know what that is. So let's get out of here.
Tonight, we explore a solo camper's night of mounting dread in the heart of Bigfoot country. This story will make you question what's truly out there in the deep, dark woods. Let's descend into this unsettling tale. "12 years ago, in 2013, an anonymous YouTube channel called Project Darkwood uploaded a short but haunting video that quickly gained traction. Filmed somewhere in the woods of Georgia, the uploader explained that before owning a trail cam, he occasionally left his old camcorder in the forest to capture local wildlife. But in June of that year, while reviewing one of those recordings, he stumbled upon something deeply unsettling: strange vocalizations coming from an unknown source. After discussing the incident with a neighbor, he decided to leave the camera out again, hoping to capture whatever was responsible. What started as distant screams and eerie noises escalated quickly. Rocks were being thrown, and something, or someone, seemed to be circling the camera. The aggression in the sounds grew stronger, and the sense of being watched was impossible to shake. Then, just as the tension peaked, the video ended. Over a decade later, no one has been able to explain what was captured that night. The footage remains a mystery, unsettling, raw, and unresolved. Maybe some secrets were never meant to be uncovered, especially not the ones buried deep in the forest.
All being well, I'll see you in the morning.
Good night.
car's just pulled up, and it sounds like they're walking around the van.
Meet the creator behind the YouTube channel, Love Sundays. He documents his adventures in his self-converted van, often seeking out remote and quiet locations to escape the hustle and bustle of daily life. Through his videos, he shares the highs and lows of van life, from cooking meals to exploring the surrounding nature. His content usually captures the tranquility of being alone in the wilderness, but one trip would prove to be a stark reminder that the biggest threat often comes not from the wild, but from other people. Seeking a bit of downtime, the creator found what seemed to be the perfect spot, a quiet roadside clearing next to a dense forest. His plan for the evening was simple: slow cook a lamb stew and enjoy the serenity of his surroundings.
I am parked on the side of a road. I have parked across from a bit of a clearing. After last week's video where I had a little bit of aggro, I decided this week I'm just going to come out in the middle of nowhere so that I can have a little bit of downtime. And looking at it, it looks fine at the moment, but as soon as the sun starts to go down, I think it might get a little bit creepy around here.
After prepping his meal and setting it to cook for the next few hours, he decided to pass the time by exploring the very woods he had parked beside, eager to embrace nature before the sun went down.
I'm going to make the easiest meal ever, which is my very own lamb stew. But I have bought this casserole mix and some already diced lamb, so it's going to be really easy. And I'm going to chuck it all in the slow cooker, so then while this is cooking over the next couple of hours, I can do a little bit of exploring and then come back to a nice hot meal. So I kind of feel like it would be rude not to go for a little wander in the woods while we're here. Get back to nature.
As night fell, the woods transformed from a place of beauty into a source of unease. Armed with only a flashlight and a small lantern, he ventured back into the darkness.
I'd be a bit of a wuss if I don't actually go for a wander in the woods when the sun's down. Might leave the diesel heater on. There's a lot of like weird nature noises. Oh, I'll tell you what I did bring actually. I've got a little lantern. Let's see if this is any better.
The familiar sounds of nature now seemed alien and menacing. He admitted that while lights should offer comfort, they often just make you a target, drawing all eyes to you in the pitch black. A reference to the Blair Witch Project came to mind, a film that had made the woods at night terrifying for him since he was a kid. Feeling increasingly spooked, he decided to retreat to the safety of his van.
I'm not gonna lie, this is a little bit freaky. And you'd think the lights would make it better, but it doesn't. It just... What was that? Sorry, I got freaked out then. It just makes all eyes be on you. So if there's anything in here, there's only going to be animals and things, but you just don't know, do you? Angry badger or something, but it just might jump out on me. I've never been one to be afraid of the dark, but ever since I was a kid watching the Blair Witch Project, always made the woods at night very scary. Which is weird, because when I was like 16, I used to like go camping in the woods with my mates. We used to pitch tents. But there's a group of you then, and it's not as scary. But now, when you're on your own.
Later that night, he was violently pulled from his sleep. The sound of a car had broken the silence, its engine idling just outside his van.
A car's just pulled up, and it sounds like they're walking around the van.
Heart pounding, he grabbed his phone to film. As soon as he pulled back the curtains to get a look, the car sped off, only to turn around at the end of the road and park ominously behind him. He was left in a state of high alert, wondering about the intentions of his mysterious visitors before they seemingly disappeared into the night.
I heard a car pull up, and it was at the front of the van. So I got up, turned my phone on, and filmed. And as soon as I drew the curtains back, they drove off. They got to the end of the road, turned around, and then came back and parked behind the van.
The next morning, he awoke to a miserable, rainy day, relieved that the rest of the night had been quiet. However, that relief was short-lived. When he tried to open the side door to step outside, it wouldn't budge.
What the actual... See that? I don't even think I can shut the door now. So when I said I got left alone last night, it doesn't look like I did get left alone, does it? I didn't even hear anyone out on the side door. Right, I've got to work out how to do this. I don't think I've got any pliers.
Confused, he looked closer and a horrifying reality set in. Someone had returned in the night and wrapped a thick industrial cable tie around the door handle and the van's frame, effectively locking him inside. A wave of panic washed over him as he realized just how vulnerable he was.
See that? I don't even think I can shut the door now.
Fortunately, because his van didn't have a bulkhead separating the cab from the back, he was able to climb into the driver's seat and exit through the front door. Once outside, he found something even more sinister. There were fresh fingerprints on his fuel cap. He theorized that the culprits weren't just trying to prank him. They were likely attempting to steal his diesel. The cable tie was a calculated move to trap him inside, preventing him from interrupting their crime. Their plan was flawed, as they clearly didn't know the fuel cap couldn't be opened without the passenger door being ajar. But the intent remained terrifying. Although the thieves were unsuccessful, the incident left a lasting chill. What if his van had a bulkhead? He would have been completely trapped at the mercy of strangers with criminal intent. Was this just a failed robbery, or was it a message from locals who didn't want campers in their area? The true motives of his nighttime visitors remain unknown. The supernatural can be frightening, but the malicious actions of other people are a far more tangible and immediate danger. The creator of Love Sundays was lucky his sharp thinking and the layout of his van allowed for a safe escape. One thing is certain, this terrifying encounter proves that sometimes the most dangerous monsters are not the ones you imagine lurking in the woods, but the ones who pull up behind you in the dead of night. Feeling safe on your own property is a luxury many take for granted, but what happens when you discover something is using your land as a hiding spot to watch you? Tonight, we explore a chilling recording that proves the most terrifying threats can be found right in your own backyard. These clips will make you question what lurks just beyond the tree line. Meet Mark, the creator behind the YouTube channel Homesteading Off the Grid. Through his videos, he documents his family's life on their remote property, embracing the quiet solitude of nature. However, that quiet was recently shattered by the unnerving feeling of being watched. On this day, Mark decided to confront the issue head-on.
We've put thousands and thousands of acorns in this certain garden plot, okay? But now here's what we're really doing and here's what you're doing. I'm just going to tell you right now, our phone battery's low. It might die. We're hoping we can get about 12 minutes worth of recording out of this.
He explains to his viewers that he and his wife are tired of someone or something using a massive fallen oak log to creep behind and peer over at their house. Determined to remove its cover, he begins the arduous task of chopping it up.
Here's what you're doing. You are giving timestamps. You're saying specifically what you saw and specifically what you heard. As you can see here is this very huge red oak log that's been fallen for about 20 years. There's some ginormous pieces there I've cut off of it just this morning. We're cutting it up for two reasons, not just for super duper dry firewood, because it is super duper dry, but because we're tired of somebody or something using this to creep behind and peek out of to watch us over at our house.
Mark's decision to remove the log came after a deeply unsettling experience earlier that morning. Before he started filming, he was met with a clear sign that his actions were unwelcome.
So I came out this morning, started cutting this thing up. She came out, started potting up the plants. And as I was cutting this thing up, something up in this area obviously is not very happy about it. I've been hearing angry grunt type growls, okay? So
from the dense woods bordering his property, he heard what he described as angry, grunt-like growls, confirming his fears that something was watching and it was not happy. Realizing the potential danger and the opportunity to capture evidence, Mark sets up his camera. He instructs his wife to keep a close watch on the surrounding trees while he continues his work.
Okay, so just listen and look, watch the trees. If you see something, please tell us what and where, okay? We're gonna try to get it about 12 minutes. I'm going on the outside of the fence. I'm gonna keep working up this firewood. I'm gonna use my sledgehammer and my mallet to bust those things up, or my sledgehammer and my maul to bust things up. Hopefully, whatever's up here will take that as simulated tree knocking. It's worked before.
He theorizes that the loud, rhythmic thuds of his maul splitting the wood might be interpreted as a form of territorial tree knocking by whatever is hiding, hoping this act will provoke a response that the camera and his viewers can finally capture. Mark continues his work, the sound of the maul striking wood echoing through the forest. After a period of intense labor, he pauses to share a critical update.
Okay. I heard something.
His experiment was a success. He explains that after his first series of loud knocks on the log, he heard a clear response from somewhere back in the woods.
Coming from back here somewhere. Did you hear that, hun?
Yeah.
After I hit it the first time?
Yeah.
It's like, whatever it was, it had gone further out. When I started, before I ran in to get the camera, it was much closer, but I could still hear it, but it was much further out. I don't know if it's because of the camera, if it saw me get the camera or what, but I heard it over here after the first series of my knocks on that wood.
Whatever it is seems to be cautious of the camera, having moved further away, but it is undoubtedly still present and making its displeasure known. As Mark decides to wrap up the recording to review the footage, he makes one last plea to his audience for help in analyzing the video.
So I'm going to go in and review this with my earphones on. Put your earphones on, you can hear better. And as you can see, I didn't scream into the camera. I'm not doing that. This is totally serious here this morning. I don't even have my hillbilly teeth. Well, except for the ones I was born with. But I'm gonna go listen to it. If you guys saw or heard anything, please say what it was and where, okay?
But just as the video comes to a close, the woods issue one final chilling response. A strange sound cuts through the air, and both Mark and his wife hear it, realizing with the start that whatever had retreated might now be moving back in, closer than before.
Looks like it might have moved back in. You hear that?
Yeah. That's the first sound that we hear. That sounds creepy.
While Mark and his wife return to the safety of their home, a lingering sense of dread remains. By attempting to reclaim their sense of security and remove the creature's hiding spot, did Mark inadvertently escalate the situation? He may have won the small battle over the log, but he may have provoked a territorial entity he knows nothing about. One thing is certain, the Watcher in the Woods is angry, and it hasn't gone away. Exploring abandoned mines is a risky endeavor, where one wrong step can lead to a collapse. But what happens when the biggest threat isn't the unstable ground, but something unseen lurking in the oppressive darkness? Here's an explorer's chilling descent into a mine that seemed to be waiting for him. This footage serves as a stark reminder that some places are best left forgotten.
You can see how big these timbers are. That's about almost a foot in diameter, the big cross timber, so they had to put big ones in here to hold up. Do you hear that? What is that, wind? Wow. I've heard some weird stuff in mines, but that is definitely creepy. I don't know what that is. So let's get out of here.
Meet Steve, the brave creator behind the YouTube channel Adventure Underground. Steve specializes in taking his audience on journeys deep into the earth, navigating the forgotten tunnels and shafts of abandoned mines. With his camera and flashlight, he illuminates the relics of a bygone era. But one stormy night, he would capture something far more unsettling than dust and decay, a sound from the darkness that defied all explanation. On a night battered by a raging storm, Steve arrived at the remote Waldeck mine with a unique mission: to test a new handheld flashlight, making it his only source of light within the mine's pitch-black interior. After making his way inside the portal, he switched off his other lights, plunging himself into an unnerving darkness broken only by a single focused beam.
In here. Now, right now, I have both of my helmet lights on, but as soon as I get in here, I'm going to turn them off and only use the through night TN12 handheld flashlight you see here. Let me put the light on here, the through night light, and I'm going to turn out my helmet lights. There's one, and there's two. And like I said, this light has 5 levels. I believe it's on medium right now, which is level 3, so this would be high. And then this is Firefly, which is hardly anything. And then that would be low.
The mine was now his silent testing ground, but he would soon discover he wasn't entirely alone. As he ventured deeper, the mine's precarious state became shockingly apparent. He entered a long passage where the ceiling was supported by ancient, decaying timbers. Above this fragile woodwork, tons of loose rock were visibly stacked, held back by nothing more than rotting lumber.
Oh, Jesus. Wow, that's... So that goes up into the stope, and you can see up there where my light is, all of those stacked boulders on that big round timber right there. All of that rock is apparently being supported by this ceiling made out of wood and timbers. And you can see the tunnel continuing down there, another ore chute. Yeah, like right here, it's kind of breaking. That timber there is kind of breaking, and wow, this is crazy. Okay, now here they use tree trunks up there instead of boards. That is really old school. That tells you this is a really old mine. I gotta get past this ore chute. This is a really old mine. Look at that. All those rocks.
He documented the incredibly dangerous construction, aware that he was walking through a death trap where the slightest sound could trigger a catastrophic collapse. It was in this very passage that his exploration took a horrifying turn. Steve suddenly stopped dead in his tracks. From the darkness ahead, a strange, chilling sound echoed through the tunnel. It wasn't the groaning of the mine or the distant wind. He described it as a bizarre, serpentine hiss, a sound that felt unnatural and deeply unsettling.
All of this rock, you can see right here where some of these boards are bending. Do you hear that? Sounds like, I don't know if you can hear that on the camera. Do you hear that? Wow. I don't know what that is. That doesn't sound like wind, but that's crazy. Don't know if that's a bird or I don't know what that is. It almost sounds like snakes, but wow. I've heard some weird stuff in mines, but that is definitely creepy. I don't know what that is. So let's get out of here.
It vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving behind a silence that felt heavier and more threatening than before. A profound sense of dread washed over him. The mission to test his gear was instantly forgotten, replaced by the primal instinct to flee. He immediately turned back, his pace quickening as he headed for the safety of the entrance. The unnerving feeling of being watched, or perhaps followed, clung to him with every step he took out of the suffocating darkness. Steve made it out of the Waldeck mine, but the unexplained sound remained with him. Was it merely a strange pocket of air escaping, or an animal hidden in a crevice? Or was it something else entirely, a remnant of the mine's long and lonely history, warning him to leave? The physical dangers of an old mine are well known, but it's the unseen and unexplained terrors that truly haunt an explorer's mind. Steve's sharp instincts told him to get out, and he was wise to listen. He may have set out to test a piece of equipment, but he ended up stumbling upon a mystery that will likely and perhaps thankfully remain unsolved.